to the Grow Your Moving Company podcast. I'm your host, Wade Swikle, owner of Two College Brothers Moving Storage and Franchising, based here in beautiful Tampa Bay, Florida. And I'm also the co-founder of the Moving Titan Retreat, which is coming up September 2nd to the 4th on Clearwater Beach, and co-founder of Tighten Up Training as well. Today's guest is Dane Guetlin. He is the co-owner of Neon Giant Moving, located in northern Washington, about 45 minutes north of Seattle. And Neon Giant is one of the coolest brands in the game. When I first connected with them over Instagram, that was the first thing that jumped out. And I told Dane and his wife, Valentina, who they co-run the business, co-own the business. And I was like, your guys' brand is on point. Reminds me of last year's Moving Titan Retreat shirts. But it's really cool. It's really catchy, eye-popping. So I can only imagine your truck's driving on the street. People know who you are. And you guys are pushing for $2 million in revenue this year. You've seen a lot of rapid growth. Just went through a rebrand. You had another partner that you decided to branch off from with a different name and start a new company with a new fresh brand. And that wasn't that long ago. So you guys are pretty much starting from scratch. I mean, not necessarily from scratch since you've been in the industry, but with the brand and really getting your name out there. So definitely want to talk about that. And I don't want to forget to mention that Dane and Valentina were at our most recent Moving Titan Retreat Mastermind in Scottsdale, Arizona. Got to spend a lot of time connecting with them and learning the ins and outs of their business. And from talking to Dane before we jumped on here and Valentina's recent episode, you guys have already been implementing a lot of the stuff that you took away from that event, which is so cool to see. But Dane, I'll kick it over to you. Tell us a little bit about your journey getting into the moving industry and how you got to where you're at, and a little bit about where Neon Giant's at and where you guys are headed.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me, Wade. I'm excited. I've been listening to your podcast last 2 or 3 years when I'm a marathon runner, so I run a lot. So I'll listen to it on my long runs, like every Sunday. I'll listen to your stuff, and then when I get really good things, I'll have to stop and do some notes on my phone. And it's been fun listening to you, like being a sponge for new information, and this has been an awesome resource for me.
That's cool that you listen to it while you run and that you do marathons. I know that I remember seeing you had just gone back from a run out there in Arizona, and I don't even think we talked about it, but I come from a family of runners and my dad ran the Honolulu Marathon in 1982, I think, and then I ran it in 2015. That was the first and only marathon that I've run. And then my brother, Brett, he ran it a few years later. And so proud to say that I have the second best time in the family. I beat my brother, which is the most important thing. My dad's, he's just a savage, and he beat all of us. But it was fun. And that was a tough one. 70 to 82 degree temperatures. I remember at the peak of it, up and down hills, up and down Diamondback Mountain. Probably do another marathon at some point again in the future, but I listened to a ton of audiobooks when I was training for that thing. And even during the run, I remember I listened to Norman Vincent Peale's The Power of Positive Thinking, I think it was, during the actual race in Honolulu. And I needed that about mile 22
during the race.
What's that? Yeah, during the race.
Oh,
that was funny. My go-to, just trying to continue, that's how I trained. So, just run it how you train. And I hadn't listened to that one yet, but it helped me. It helped me just dig deep when I got to mile 22 and still had to go up Diamond Head Mountain and get to the top of that. And then the last mile was pretty much all downhill. But that last few miles there, I basically bonked, I think is what they say in the running game.
Funny. Yeah, I think my first marathon I ever ran, I listened to I only give myself like 1 month to train, and I was listening to some podcast David Goggins was on, just like riffing, like who's going to carry the boats and all this. And I don't know. I barely survived that one, but now I run like 2 a year, and now I can do it without even music. So
that's awesome, man. That's really cool. It's a big undertaking. I done several triathlons since then, and David Goggins was a big reason for a lot of that. He's definitely an inspirational guy. But let's talk moving, man. So I guess if you want to tell me, how tell me the story behind Neon Giant, how you came up with the name, and what what that rebrand process looked like when you decided to go off on your own with your wife and another partner and get your own thing going after having worked alongside another moving company.
Yeah. So we had like, 30 days when we were going through the separation there where we had to come up with a new brand, get a new LLC. We wanted to find something catchy. So I really liked anything related with the Sasquatch because we're in the Pacific Northwest, but everything kind of like Sasquatch moving, Bigfoot moving was all taken. And then we were thinking even more, and I really liked this. I think I saw like an electrical company on the East Coast that used neon, and it was so cool, like their website with the bright lights and their branding. And I was like, how could we somehow combine it? And then Neon Giant came, and it's been super fun since. You can see here, we got the super bright colors. The trucks are cool. The guys love the uniforms, and besides like a few, older former customers in the beginning that gave us a little pushback, now everybody kind of forgot the old name already, and is their kids are screaming at their parents like, "Look at the Neon Giant!" when they drive by. That people tell us because we got a big full size Sasquatch on the building.
Cool.
Or he's walking and he's got the sunglasses. It's cool. We've been making some cool like AI videos that I've been making too with Higgsfield, where I can get the giant like walking through the forest and carrying a couch on his back, and yeah, it's just been super fun.
I love
Honestly.
that. How long have you had the rebrand with it?
So it was January 1st, 2026. So that's like
Wow. So
7 months now. Mm-hmm.
wow. And how has that brand led to business? Have you been able to track how much people see in your trucks or the giant Sasquatch on your building, or just the name catching out to them? Like, have you seen that rebrand pay off in terms of ROI just within the last 7-8 months?
I would say like honestly, the first 6 months was kind of hard because we had mixed wrap trucks. We still had the old brand on half the trucks as we're transitioning them through. And then we had to start fresh with a whole new website. We lost all of our SEO. We kept our Google My Business. We just had to change the name. And we kept our reviews. But all of that kind of led to this lull for a little period of time. We had a good April, a good May. June was a little down, but then I would still say July, August, once we got past 6 months, we really started to take off now. And we've noticed we've done a ton of like sponsoring events and stuff in the community too, a ton of realtor work. And now it seems like now we're to the fun part where everybody recognizes us. When I go to the grocery store, they're like, "Oh, you work at the Neon Giant. Like, I've seen your trucks. They're so cool." And on the back of our trucks, we have a thing where you can uh, call to report Sasquatch sightings if you've seen the giant. We'll get prank calls from kids every once in a while, which is kind of funny. But yeah, it's starting to catch on around here. It's a small enough community where it's been memorable and it's fun. It makes me smile and laugh when people mess around with it too.
I love that as like kind of a, no pun intended, guerrilla marketing campaign to like have a Sasquatch reporting hotline or something like that. And like, who knows, maybe you'll get some like real Sasquatch people that, think they see the real deal, and you can,
Mhm.
I don't know, send it over to the History Channel or something. Maybe leverage that. That's a really interesting, like sticky campaign that I feel like you could do
Yeah.
because of how you've positioned that. When you started the rebrand, you had the other company name. How long was the other company in business that you were or part of, or at least the brand of it?
So they've been in business like 15 years, and I'd been a part of it since right before COVID. So like January of 2020, I started working there because my friend was an owner, and I was actually living in Colombia, where my wife Valentina is from, and I lost my visa there. I was trying to start a smart home automation business in Colombia, which totally failed, but I got kicked out of Colombia basically and had to move back to my hometown for a short period of time, and then kind of just said, "Do you need help, Jeff?" Like, I just started working as a mover for 6 months or something. I was like, I think I could do this. Like, maybe let me go open up a new location up north where I can try it on my own. And I got a truck and I came up here and then started learning like on YouTube. I had no idea what I was doing. Um, I would watch Louis Massaro videos on YouTube. I would go park my truck by the highway and then walk around and knock on doors. just ask other businesses what they're doing. I go to realtors, and slowly we figured it out and did that for until the end of last year. So about 4 years with that brand, and then we got the opportunity to branch off and then make this now, which is it was a lot of work to get here, but now it's so worth it now that we're past it.
So aside from like wrapping the trucks and getting the logo and everything dialed in, did you do anything else to tap into the previous customer base to kind of let people know like, hey, we're rebranding. I've done podcasts with other people who have rebranded, and for those of you guys who are listening, if you don't have a brand that is catchy, that has colors that people remember, if you don't have trademarked logos and different brand standards that you have, it's definitely an important piece of playing the long game, but it's a lot of times not going to lead to instant success. And transitioning to do a rebrand, and a rebrand could be changing your name, or it could just be changing your logo and your art. There's different ways to do it. I did a podcast with Dan Antonelli, who's a branding expert for home service businesses, and he's given some strategies on trying to inform the general public that this company is going through a change, inform your past customers that this company is going through a change. Did you do anything to get the word out in like press releases or sending letters to past customers and letting them know, or anything like that aside from just the logo side of things?
Yeah. I mean, we did press releases. We notified the local paper, and they did an article. We did email blast outs to our former customer list. It was nice that we got it was kind of like a carve out. So like we got to keep the same assets we have, the trucks, the customer database. Smart Moving was super nice in the transition. They helped us migrate to a new account. We had to take the new account, but we got to import our old customers. So I still have all the past jobs and stuff. So we were able to email all of them. We sent out mailers, just whatever we could. And then, of course, went around hardcore to every real estate agency around here so that there was no confusion, bringing plenty of flyers and swag and getting them signed up. And just, we've been hitting the pavement hard, because you always just assume people know, and then like they don't. Somebody could still come up to me surprised, like, "Oh, when did you change the name?" And then, geez, I got to keep going.
Yeah, that's smart that you've thought that through, especially with the past customers, because the repeat and referral business is so big in the moving industry. And if you've already got an established reputation, that's probably one of the scariest things about doing a rebrand is losing that, when people realize that you're, if they try to find the old company and they realize that it's no longer around, even though it's just under a new name. That would be a scary piece for me. But what about like the website and the SEO? Obviously, we've talked about rebranding simply because we're a lot bigger than two college brothers these days, and college was 15, 16 years ago for me. So I've thought about it, but one of the other scary pieces of it is changing up the website and the Google My Business page, and losing all the SEO traction that we've built over the last decade and a half. That, what was your approach to that?
Yeah, I mean, we did lose the website and all of our SEO, so that's still an ongoing thing here. I used my same guy. He was super awesome in our rebrand. That built our old website. He built a new one, a new and improved one, and yeah, I mean, that is still an ongoing thing. We had a big dip in our traffic and all of that. I would say now, like in the summer, it's picked back up, but it kind of really forced it. SEO takes a little bit of time too. I can't just expect it to flip a switch overnight. So I think that's really what led us into like, we pushed super hard into like our affiliate program with storage facilities, with our realtors, with everything. And that's when I built out a good way of tracking it and using Claude and AI to build this whole like expansive realtor affiliate program. And before, that was part of our business, but it wasn't very organized. But I was just trying to think, what could I control? I couldn't really control the SEO, and we needed money now, but I could control, our word of mouth and the realtors referring us. So now I think I was just looking at Smart Moving, and like this summer, it's probably like 70% affiliates
Wow.
for our referral source this summer. And then Google completely dropped off. And then we've been able to recover it a little bit. And then lately I've been diving into meta ads in different ways too. So I've just been trying to be creative to whatever I can do to bridge that gap, since we know that the SEO is going to take a little bit to build and a new website and everything.
Hey movers, it's Wade Swikle and you're listening to the Grow Your Moving Company podcast. If you've ever wasted money on marketing to the wrong homes, listen up. This is why I use USA Home Listings. They're the only platform in the moving industry built by movers that not only has new home listings and under contract listings updated daily, but now offers enhanced data that can eliminate vacant homes and give you phone numbers and emails for both homeowners and realtors, giving you multiple ways to connect and close more jobs. Their vacancy AI tool removes empty homes so there are no more wasted mailing efforts, and their Tier 2 data takes it further, providing highly accurate contact details for both homeowners and realtors for email, phone, and social outreach. The result? Higher conversions, stronger ROI, and more book jobs with less spend. Check out usahomelistings.com because it's where real movers get real leads. Well, I definitely want to talk about the affiliate program. Last question on the SEO. Were you able to retain any of the reviews from your previous GMB profile?
Yeah, we got to keep it.
That's good.
So we have all the same reviews. We just had to, hopefully they get flooded now with the new name, not the old name.
True.
Because when people are going through, that's a little bit confusing still. And some of the old pictures are the old company logo. And then the old company continues to exist too. It's not like they're not in existence. They're like an hour and a half away, but they can still be kind of confused. You got to kind of tell them over the phone a little bit, we're no longer that, we're this. So
makes total sense. Tell me about this affiliate program. So you mentioned earlier when you were doing the rebrand, you pounded the pavement, you knocked on a lot of doors, you got out there, you sponsored events, you got really involved in your community, and it certainly seems to be paying off with 70% affiliate programs. And I know you guys were showing me the app that you built to enhance the tracking from that beyond the, smart moving capabilities, which smart moving does have a decent affiliate program to generate custom links and things like that. So no knock on that, but you guys took it to the next level with Claude, and it really seems like it's paying off. I mean, walk me through your whole approach with how you initiate those connections and then how you basically nurture those relationships and track that data.
Yeah. So we still utilize the smart moving affiliates. We still have to match the affiliate in smart moving to the job. So we utilize that still. We just wanted to take it a step further. In the past, it had been, we would go hit every Tuesday, say, go to a different territory and go around, hold the different offices and try to keep, handwritten notes or in a Google spreadsheet somewhere. This realtor, she has a dog named Bones and he's 4, and nice things. So the next time it's a little warmer when we go in and introduce ourselves, and just trying to think, how can we systemize it, and how can we take most advantage of the top realtors too. So I created, to start, just kind of a tier system with a cork board on my wall here of our tier 1 top referral partners, and then these are people I got to call or text every week and just see how they're doing. My tier 1s had a certain criteria. Tier 2s were who has used us and referred us before. Tier 3 knows who we are. Tier 4 is recruits we want to get. And I got an MLS list from one of my realtor friends, and I could see the top transacting realtors. And then those are the ones I, of course, wanted to target, because the top, whatever they say, 10% of realtors do 90% of the business around here. So I really wanted to start, building in a system where I could take that corkboard. I'm like, okay, how could I digitize this? I was talking with my coach, and I started building out this program where it's basically a CRM for our affiliates and realtors, where they have a whole profile that we build out for them in there. That's got their headshot, it's got the brokerage they work at, all their contact information, all of our notes in the past, and it's linked in with Claude to show every past referral. that they've given us in Smart Moving, so you can, sort all your affiliates by total revenue, total jobs referred, everything. You can filter by whatever you want. You can see all the stats right in there. And then I plugged in email and text messaging through it. I got approved by Twilio, it's called. So now we can text the realtors directly through within the CRM or the app on my phone from the company number. And within their profile too, we built it out so I can click a button in a second and send them an instant portal where they can refer and track jobs with us. So
when you're texting, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I don't want to forget, is it showing up blue like an iPhone if they have an iPhone? I know that's something that, most CRMs in general, whether it's Smart Moving, Go High Level, whatever, it's going to show up as an SMS, which if you have an iPhone is green. But have you been able to configure it through your build on that you've created to be like a blue text at all?
No, I haven't even thought of that, but I want to look into it. I'm going to make a note.
Yeah, so I'm not an expert on it by any means. There's services that do it, but they're really expensive, and there's some gray area on whether they're doing it the right way or if they have like 100 iPhones or 1,000 iPhones in India somewhere. But there is another way to do it that we actually just figured out. One of Chad's marketing guys has been able to connect it to our Go High Level for the Moving Titan stuff, and using a Mac Mini can now show up as blue. And I think you have to buy like a cheap phone number line. You can only do up to a certain amount of days so it doesn't get flagged as spam. But I mean, you can have a real conversation from a CRM and somehow leveraging an actual user line and iCloud account connected to a Mac Mini. There's a way to do it. So you could probably talk to Claude and figure it out yourself, but it is possible now. And I think that it would be definitely possible to connect it to Smart Moving in some capacity at the same time. So something that we're going to look into for the moving company after the upcoming retreat. But that's, that's part of why I love doing the retreats and stuff like that too, because you figure out all these other marketing sources and strategies for a totally different business in a different industry that a lot of time can be crossed over to the moving business. So just the act of putting on those events and running other side businesses can a lot of times have some really cool effects in the aftermath. But I didn't mean to cut you off on the send blue or the blue text message stuff. So sorry about that, but continue.
Oh, no, that's awesome. I made a note. I'm going to check it out when we get off here. I'm always just adding to it. But yeah, just some of the other features that I've put in, are there's like an instant link you can send them to create a portal for them where they have their own URL where they just go there to refer, and they can track their referrals, and it goes straight into our Smart Moving. It says exactly where it came from, which realtor. It says portal lead from submitted by Susie Smith, and it goes straight into Smart Moving. And that's just at a touch of a button. It says send portal, activate portal. If they're a top realtor, I have a button to create a landing page on our website in the second. So it's pretty fun when I'm in like a realtor meeting and I want to give a demonstration, because every Tuesday we're trying to hit a realtor sales meeting around here. We learned that everybody around here meets on Tuesdays. So I'm reaching out to anybody I have connections with and just trying to load up every Tuesday morning with we're going out, whether it's 5 minutes, some people have given us an hour before. And if they give us a slide deck and I can show the CRM and then hey, check it out. You can track from beginning to end what stage their referral's at. Because I know when I refer somebody, I would like to know, is it booked? When's it booked? When are they doing it? Is it completed? Are they happy? Because then we'll send a screenshot of their 5-star review. We'll put it in the portal as well that they can see. And then we've automated payouts. So we'll send them a $50 digital reward card automatically, because before I was just trying to keep track on notes and then at the end of the month mail out a gift card. And this way it's just we get a ding on the thing and it says reward the gift card, yes or no, and then you click yes once the job's completed. So that's pretty sweet. It's fun to show at the meetings.
Yeah, and I remember you showed it to us at the event, and I didn't have time to go full in on it and see the entire demo of it, but just from the surface level, it was very clean software. And Snowball does very similar things out there for people that may not be tech savvy enough to build it themselves. You can do the automated referral payouts and stuff like that, but but you fully customize it. Did you just teach yourself all of that through Claude on how to build that?
Yeah. I mean, just YouTube and Claude, and I got kind of obsessed with it at the start of the year, around January, and just started like talking to it and building things, and it's just super exciting because if I have an idea of anything really, I can just go in there and then I don't even really type anymore. I don't know if you know what Whisper Flow is.
I'm familiar with the term Whisper, but not if that's like a specific product. I'm not familiar.
Yeah, I think there's a couple like it, but it's addicting to me now. I don't type anymore. I just click one key on my dashboard, and then I just talk in, and it types and edits it, and then I have the same app on my phone now. So whenever I'm texting anyone, I'm just like talking into my phone all day, and I almost forgot how to text at this point. So I'm just like talking to it all day.
I've
And
noticed that becoming a trend with my employees, whether they're talking to ChatGPT or they're texting, like people, younger people especially, they're not really texting anymore. They're talking into AI and it's texting, or phones have had voice to text for a long time, but for a while it was a little clunky. It would get things wrong. It would get spellings and typos in there, and you couldn't emphasize certain parts that you needed to emphasize. So, but I mean, with AI now, I mean, it's crazy how far it's come. And I read an article recently that at first, this first wave of AI, people were getting lazy when it came to doing a lot of things because they could have AI do it, whether it was writing a book report if you're a student, or whatever, and doing math, complicated situations that used to have to spend a lot of time and critically think. And I think AI is a great tool because it can save you so much time if you're using it as a tool. But I think a lot of people started using it as a crutch, and they were running things in AI to send text messages and emails. And a lot of times it was a dead giveaway because you have the M dashes and it's just too clean. And so a lot of times, you can see if somebody's just being lazy. But that being said, there's a ton of different ways that it can be a super valuable tool. For example, building out an app and learning how to do that. But I've heard this second wave is making it even easier and getting especially younger people even more lazy, because now they don't even have to type things out and learn how to spell because they could just talk into things. And it'll be interesting to see how future generations do that, just grow up with nothing but that and whatever else comes along. I still think that it's important to exercise your brain to an extent. I try to do small math equations, or write out, if I'm doing an application for an award or something, I try to write it all out myself. I might have AI clean it up, make sure it's grammatically correct, but it's still my words and my voice. And I think it's important to continue to use your brain, and that'll ultimately be somewhat of a differentiator down the road. So that's really cool. But you're definitely leveraging it for the right reasons, and I think that is brilliant. You mentioned you do Tuesday meetings. You try to do them every Tuesday for the realtors. Before they ever get into your system, how are you going about having an organized, strategic approach to make these connections? And I know you can buy lists. You can get lists of all the agents. Usually, if you know an agent, they can download it off an MLS. There's certain vendors that sell lists. There's like USA Home Listings, one of the partners on this show, can give you lists of home data and the customer information and the realtor information for homes that are coming soon, for sale, pending. There's a lot of functionalities you can do with that. So are you working with any lists that you haven't established a connection and putting them into some of these tools? Or are you actually going out of your way to reach out to these people to make the connection first, or maybe a combination of the two? Like how does the process go for getting the back end software and tools to work?
Yeah. So I mean, initially, I just wanted to make sure I was looking in the right place. So I had one of my realtor friends just, I asked if he could give me the list of the last rolling 12 months of the top transactions by the 3 counties around here. And then I printed off the top 50 realtors in each county. And then I was like, we know this one, this one, this one. We don't know this one. We're circling it. Like, now what do we do? Let's make a plan. So that was initially how we did it. And I have that list like uploaded in there so we can click on the realtors that aren't quite in our network yet. And then I have it linked to something called Rentcast, where it shows live listings. So I can click on their profile and look at active listings, and say it's a new person on their profile there and I haven't talked to them before. We can either add them on social media. There's a button, it'll search for their social media and start trying to interact with them there. Or if I see that there is a listing in a neighborhood, I've got some text templates and email templates that will say sometimes like, hey, I was running by your awesome listing on, 1234 Marine Drive. And I was just thinking that, an awesome house like that deserves an awesome moving company. And I'm happen to be a moving company owner. This is my number if you ever need anything, or your customers need boxes or whatever. And so that's kind of a fun tool that we have on there now too, is you can just click refresh and see the newest listings of the day, and then see like, oh, look, there's one from Kelly, our top referral partner, that's a comment, or just see if we can bring something over. Just stay top of mind all the time.
Hey everybody, Wade here, and I've got an awesome game-changing announcement for you. Now, I know a lot of you guys are constantly asking, how do we get more leads? How do we get better leads? You're tired of spending way too much money for pay-per-click or buying leads or LSA, whatever it may be, only to get low-paying customers that become a headache with small moves, and you don't get an ROI on those jobs. Well, the exciting news is that our friends at Moversville have just launched a new product called the Realtor Referral Engine, where they not only get in front of realtors, but they command direct response, replies, and referred business. I'm super pumped about this, but don't just take my word for it. My friend Austin Yarborough over at Central Coast Moving and Lucky Day Moving and the Moving Army, I know he's got a bunch of them, just like me, that's why we're friends, has gotten over 40 direct replies from realtors in his first month of using the Realtor Referral Engine from Moversville. And then there's Scott with ABC Moving Systems. He's booked over $30,000 in work and made over 20 new realtor connections. What can an extra $30,000 a month do for your business? Here's what makes this kind of marketing different. These aren't just one and done jobs. These are realtors who keep referring large jobs, can introduce you to the other members of their brokerage, and then those moves can start referring more and more jobs. You have to stay front of mind though. So if you want to learn more about the Realtor Referral Engine by Moversville, head on over to moversville.com and book a quick 15-minute call with my friend Tim, who runs the place. He'll know exactly what your business needs to get set up. He can do it all to make sure that you're getting high ticket jobs at a fraction of the cost of other marketing sources. I think you're going to be happy that you did that. Don't sleep on this one. Go check out moversville.com. Look for the 15-minute intro call with Tim and report back with your results so that I can talk about them here on the show. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I think it's really important that every business is always looking for those opportunities, and not just one person in the business, not just the owner. We've for a long time had a strategy where we encourage our entire team, at least our administrative team, and ideally we get the movers up to speed on it too, but sometimes you just want to be careful with getting the right people to be the face of your brand when it comes to connecting with high profile realtors. But say you have 5 people working in your office. If you reach out to one person a day, just make it a goal. Every working day that you do, say 300 working days, that's 1,500 contacts that your company can make, outreaches. And not everybody's going to respond. Not everybody's going to, engage with you. But even if only 10 do, and it's probably going to be a lot more than 10%, that's still 150 more potential partners. If 10% a referral every year, that's 150 new referrals. And then if 10% of them send you a referral every month, that's 15 additional moves per month. And if the average ticket price is $2,000 or $3,000 or $1,000 or even more, because they're high producing business partners, you can do the math on that, but it could be well into the 6 figures in additional business just by having everybody reach out to one person, make one connection every single day. And then what tends to happen is they'll introduce you to new opportunities that you get it whittled down to a core group, maybe your top 50 referral partners that are just, they're the connectors. They're, if you've ever read the book The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell, he talks about like the connectors. And these are like a segment of the population that know a ton of people, and they know everybody basically. They're 1 degree of separation from pretty much anybody you want to meet. And that makes you basically 2 degrees of separation from pretty much anybody that you want to meet. And you can get your foot in the door with a lot more opportunities. And then you're servicing all these moves that they become raving fans and they tell everybody about you as well. And it just snowballs. But such a great strategy. And I mean, I love the fact that you stick to the Tuesday presentations. How big is your market? I'm just curious. Like, how many agents are in it, or what's the population of like the market that you serve with those 3 counties that you mentioned?
I don't even. I would be lying if I said we're. Seattle's big. There's a couple million people down there, but we're like 45 minutes from there, and there's a bunch of big boy moving companies down there, so we really don't really compete with price too much. But up here in Skagit, Whatcom County, close to the Canadian border, there's a university town with a couple 100,000 people, Bellingham. I was up there yesterday doing our referral thing. And down here, there's probably similar amounts, maybe like 500,000 people in this general area, if I were to just guess out loud.
And that's honestly some of the most successful companies I know, or the fastest growing companies I know, are under $1 million. At some point, they might cap out and they want to get into a bigger market, maybe open another location. Did I say $1 million? I meant under 1 million residents.
Yeah, I knew you.
You know what I mean? But they're under 1 million residents. I mean, you look at these like mid-market areas, or maybe it's a suburban area of a larger city like you're in. Like our San Antonio franchise started off in San Antonio proper, but he lived in Schertz. Our SEO company said that, he should be in San Antonio, but because he was just starting out, there was a lot of noise to break through the SEO, it took time to invest in. And so we actually ended up, after about a year or so, moving him out to a suburb there and immediately started ranking at the top because there was a lot less competition and he was a lot closer to actual residential people that make for ideal customers. They tend to a lot of times live in the suburbs. Not to say there's not opportunities in the actual cities, but you're also competing against so much in the actual cities. Whereas the suburbs, a lot of times, you might be the only one or one of the only ones. Same thing in those mid markets, like, Gainesville, Florida is like 100,000 people and there's like 7 companies maybe there, and probably like 3 main core competitors where we started. And it revolves heavily around the university, which has virtually unlimited funds and needs to move people, whether they're doctors, professors, the student housing section during certain times of the years. But I love the mid markets because the word just travels so fast. It's just that there's usually less competition. It's a lot easier to start ranking and to meet people and to connect and know the who's who. And there's a ton of opportunity, even in a 500,000 person market, to become a multi-million dollar business. So I think you guys are, I don't know anything about your market outside of what you just told me, but I think that, it's important for anybody listening to not be too quick to go and chase a shiny object with getting into a big city, because a lot of times, I learned that the hard way when we opened up our Tampa location in 2015. Is it took 3 or 4 years to break through the noise in Tampa. And now, we're in a better position with it because we've been here for a long time, but it was tough and considered, closing it at multiple stages during that period. And Gainesville was having to float, a lot of the expenses for the Tampa office, and everything doubled, in terms of the costs of everything. So, that's a good place to be. You mentioned prior to us recording that you've started playing around with Meta and social media. And I've been hearing a lot about this, and this has been a lot of topics of conversation with other moving company owners, as well as with my own internal team, that Meta has recently launched a new algorithm called Andromeda. And I'm starting to hear these success stories from other moving company owners in different parts of the country that are absolutely crushing it with social media ads. And we've tried social media on and off for years, had some success over the last, year or two of going into it. But it's never been like, a silver bullet marketing source like some other things turn out to be. And it might provide a few jobs a month. The ROI is decent, so we keep it. But I'm hearing things where people are setting $5,000 spend budgets and generating $220,000 of trackable business in a month from the new algorithm. And some other companies that started within the last couple of years are already at the $4 or $5 million mark, and they attribute a lot of that to working with good vendors and figuring out the how to get actual business from Meta. And in the past when we did it, I kind of looked at it more as like, if we get a couple moves out of it a month, great. It's kind of more of a branding play that I think is going to elevate our other marketing, because they'll have seen us on their scrolling, and then they'll, they go to need a mover, they recognize us. But I'm curious, what are you finding about Meta? I know it's relatively new that you've gone into it, but are you seeing some of those similar results, and what's your overall approach with it?
Yeah. So thanks to, like you said, I'd been hearing things just like you, I guess, maybe from the Moving Titan retreat and other people, that made me want to take a closer look, hearing some success stories, because like you just said, I've just been told forever, like, oh, it's just like a little bit of a branding play, just run some awareness ads. When people are scrolling, they'll know you're there. And I'd always been told that. Then I started watching some YouTube stuff and Alex Hormozy stuff. He's super into it. And I just started, watching videos. And all I did to start was I created a few little AI generated ads. Like there's one of our Sasquatch like carrying a couch through the woods, like a trail cam, and he stops and like they caught him on camera, the Sasquatch. And then there's one where these boxes are disappearing, and then they go into a new house, and then they unpack themselves, and that shows a happy family all settled into their new home. And all I've been doing is running it for like a week. And but what I did was I put, so that the quote form, they fill out a quote on Meta, like at the end of the ad, instead of rerouting them to our website or anything. And since I just started running them, I mean, this is just last week, probably like 7 days ago, I've already got like 10 or 12 actual moving qualified leads that have come through, not like little junk removals or anything for us, because we do some of that. And we've already booked 4 of them and serviced 2 of them. And I was like, I'm just going to keep. So right now on my goals for the week, it's like, I'm going to give 1 hour a day watching YouTube videos on Meta and trying to figure out how to dial this in. I called this kid that helps us do the videos, and we're going to put out, I don't know, 10 or 12 different creative ads, because from what I've been understanding about Andromeda and what the change they made like 7 or 8 months ago is like, you don't have to manually do as much of the filtering anymore. You don't have to put this exact, demographic that's in these 3 interests. Now you kind of just let Meta do the work, because it understands way more about, our customer avatar, what we're looking for. It'll read through the ad and the copy and try to find that ideal customer and narrow it down to this small group, this niche group that's, this age range in this area with these interests based on their Facebook profiles and stuff.
I've definitely noticed on the consumer side that the algorithm has changed. I'm getting much more relevant ads to things that I don't love. I don't think anybody like loves looking at ads unless you're in marketing or own a business to like, pick it apart. But I'm in that. So I do enjoy like seeing, some of these things and these different approaches that people are taking to get my attention. And it used to be, an ad that looked like every other ad, like a TV commercial or we're the best, do business with us, kind of thing. But it's just been fun to see how creative a lot of them are getting, to the point where I'll be scrolling on something and I have to look really closely to see if I'm watching an ad or if this is like an actual like reel or an actual, thing. And sometimes it's informational. It's like, it could be an infographic or somebody, explaining something. Sometimes it's like an AI music video that I literally was driving the other day. I shouldn't say this. I wasn't driving the other day. I was parked in my car and had my phone playing, and I saw one of these like AI music videos, and I watched like 3 minutes of the dang thing. And I had no interest in getting whatever it was. It was like some kind of, I don't know. It was for like middle-aged men who are having hormonal changes, which I guess it thinks that I am. But the music video was so fun, and it was like so good, and it was all AI, obviously. But but the algorithm is improving, and I have bought things from ads, AI algorithm ads. So I want to take a second and tell you all about Tighten Up Training. As a co-founder, we've spent months and months and months and a lot of money pooling together resources from some of the best moving companies in the world. And we're excited to bring this to an online platform available to any mover to use at an affordable price. Tighten Up Training has over 200 videos, including mover training, your highest turnover position, so that you can reduce claims, streamline operations, give your team the tools to perform at the highest level of service that generate repeat and referral business and allow you to charge higher prices, as well as sales training, marketing training, business development, leadership. We're adding more content as we speak. We've got legal training in there. We've even got door-to-door training for the moving industry, thanks to Lenny Gray at the Moving Titan Retreat. We've seen a massive explosion of moving companies jumping on to Tighten Up Training since the last retreat, and people are loving it. And when you sign up and mention this podcast, we're going to give you a free 6-week onboarding course in order to learn how to hold your team accountable and get the entire team on the platform so that you can have the best off-season and summer season that you've ever had. So go to tightenuptraining.com, schedule your free demo today, and look forward to tightening up. One of the social media people I've spoken to said was it's important to test as many different creatives as you can. 100 creatives, let's say, and then narrow those down to the top performers and just maybe not all at once, but, constantly A/B testing. And then when you have one that does well, you keep running that and you're testing other things against that. And then eventually something else will run well. And then you start testing new things against that. And sometimes it's all it is a matter of changing up one piece of copy or one call to action or one element of the ad, and the ROI, explodes when, that one little tweak is made. And it's crazy because it's so hard to predict. Even like for our Moving Titan retreat, the ads that we think are going to do the worst, like the afterthought ones where it's just me and Chad going down a slide with a phone in our hand, tend to be sometimes the ones that do the best in terms of conversions or views or whatever. So, so you've got like 10 to 12, it sounds like currently. Are you self-managing that? Or are you working with a company?
No, I'm just trying to learn it on my own because I don't know. Sometimes when I talk to some agencies, we're talking like Chinese to me, or they just tell me impossible, that won't work. So I've been diving into this myself for now. I have a guy that runs my Google ads, but I don't know. He's not too into meta. The kid that does my video stuff is super into meta, so he's giving me a bunch of little shorter cuts with different hooks, like you were saying, so we can test different creatives, and then I'm hoping he's going to dive into it with me a little bit, and then I can't do it forever if I want to grow the company. But for right now, I really want to understand it and see how much I can leverage it. And another cool thing I have it doing is, so like each campaign, I have it so it will immediately go straight into smart moving too, rather than, build. So our sales and stuff isn't looking in 4 different places for our leads. I use Zapier so that it will immediately populate into smart moving as a lead when that's filled out. And then it'll say the exact ad campaign it came from. It'll say Sasquatch Trail Cam version B. So I get kind of instant gratification when I see that ding, or when I check in the morning and there's 3 ads from the transformation ad overnight. I'm like, maybe I could, see if we could tweak that a little more. Or now I got to get some more to test. So it's been exciting and fun for me. I like learning about it right now.
That's really cool. And I think you brought up a really good point too. Whether it's something like social media, maybe it's SEO, maybe it's PPC, or some other marketing source, maybe it's direct mail. But learning how to do it on your own first before you go and hire a company, because there's so many companies out there that just want to take your money. They're overcharging, under delivering. They don't understand the nuances of your moving company and your business. We've probably spent a fortune learning that the hard way over the years. We're very lucky to have a few really good vendors when it comes to SEO that we work with, and we've worked with for several years now. There's a few things that, I've tried a lot of different companies with on, aside from SEO, with different other PPC type things like Meta and whatever. And it's just really hard to find out who the good players are that are actually going to understand your business and customize it to your CRM and present the right strategy, because a lot of these firms and agencies and companies that do that, they have a cookie cutter approach because they're trying to grow business too. They're trying to streamline things. They're trying to, train their staff to, get really good at certain things, but that a lot of times comes without the customization. And, the best way to overcome that is to learn as much about it as you possibly can yourself. Maybe do it for a little while yourself. Maybe try to find a mentor. Alex Hormozy talks about like reaching out, to an expert and then offering to pay them more than what they would otherwise charge, with the stipulation that they're going to teach him how to do it and teach somebody on, or probably now teach somebody on his team how to do it. And so, maybe they're $2,000 a month. Maybe you offer to pay them $10,000 for 3 months, but you want them to show you exactly what they're doing, how they're doing it, with the understanding that this is a 3-month agreement. Maybe it's a 6-month agreement, and that you probably will try to do it in-house. Or if you like what they're doing, maybe you do a hybrid approach where you got somebody on your team helping them to bring the cost down, or you continue to work with them. But what's in it for them is they're going to get that higher upfront ticket price, especially if you can pay it all up front. A lot of people, the right person's going to jump at that. And then also, you can now be an evangelist for their company and help to promote them to other companies to help grow their business. And that's, I love that approach. But with Claude, with YouTube, with all these things right now, you don't even really need to do that. You can get a lot of this information for free or very little cost to fully understand the ins and outs. Because really, only a moving company owner and really only you as the owner of your company are going to fully understand the nuances and the needs for your company or for a moving company, where a lot of these agencies, they might know a lot about the tech side of it all, but they don't necessarily know the moving side, and they're not plugging it into your CRM. They're not hooking up the right UTM parameters. They're not, doing those connections like you just mentioned. So, I love that you're doing that. So you basically, just so I'm clear, you got 10 to 12 ads, you're A/B testing those. You made a lot of those with Higgsfield with AI videos, probably a few different other things that you got in there with different copy and images and whatnot. Those ads are presenting themselves on the algorithm, and then you have the form on the ad where people that see those ads can fill it out right there without even leaving Instagram. And then you use Zapier to connect to that to Smart Moving with a UTM parameter that tags exactly what ad that was. Am I hearing all that correctly with that flow?
Yeah, that's the flow. And yeah, I don't know if anybody's messed around with Higgsfield that much before, but it's pretty cool too, because I've had problems with like video generation before where it doesn't like consistently make a consistent character like the Neon Giant. It's like different every time. But in Higgsfield now, I've created this character that I can reuse doing different things. Like he's carrying the couch on that trail cam, but next time he could be in an open house, like with a plate of hors d'oeuvres for a realtor event, or it's going to be the same character mostly every time, because I had problems with that before, like, oh, now that one looks different and he's talking weird. But yeah, it's cool because I've only made 2 kind of not very good ads. So I'm excited to see, like, now that I've put more creative out there with the kid that's got all of our B-roll and videos, actually putting our faces to it. I don't know what we can get, but if I would have just taken Meta's only a branding play, which several people had told me before, then I wouldn't have got, those leads in the last week. So who knows?
I love it. What's your current ad spend, and about how many leads has that ad spend generated for you?
For Meta, I'm only paying like $50 a day right now for those 2 ads. And it's just kind of an experiment right now. And overall, for the company,
what's it doing? Like, how many leads are you getting for $50 a day?
For $50 a day, it's been like 1 or 2 a day, I would say.
It's not bad. That's a good ROI if you're booking them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like I said, they've been quality leads so far too. So I hate to push everyone to this when I have such a small sample size, but
Well,
I don't
you're
know.
not the first person though that's seeing success. I mean, I think I think you're early in the stages, and I think you're doing all the right things. So you know, and also you're not. I wouldn't say you're pushing anything because you're not selling an agency or selling your
Yeah,
services. You're figuring it out, but you're showing that it's possible. I think,
yeah, yeah.
and I've been
If
hearing
anybody
that.
wants to collaborate, they can reach out to me too. And more people trying it and learning, then the better.
And so Higgsfield, I've heard of it. I've not used it. I'm not super familiar, but I understand it's a video generating AI. Uh, is it like another app like Claude or ChatGPT? Is it expensive? Like, how do you get started with Higgsfield?
Just go to Higgsfield. I think Higgsfield pulls from a bunch of different video platforms into one and utilizes it. What I did actually was I signed up for Higgsfield, but I connected it to Claude. So I'm just using it in Claude as a connector. So I have a conversation on my computer that's just video generation that I'm using it for. And it knows the past 3 videos I've generated, and it just
So
links
you're
straight
using
in.
you did connect it to Claude or you didn't connect it to Claude? Oh, you did. Okay, so you just talked to Claude. Claude
Yeah.
talks to Higgsfield. Higgsfield pumps out the
Hmm.
videos.
Yeah. And then Higgsfield will make like the actual video itself. And then so I don't burn a ton of tokens and credits, Claude can like edit it down or be like, okay, now it'll put a voiceover instead of the next time I have to spend like $5 to generate a whole new video to tweak one thing. It'll make like a kind of a general video, and then Claude can go through and edit it without taking all those credits. It can add like the in card that shows Neon Giant with the offer, and then change different, change the offer 5 different ways so we can test 5 different things. You're not having to regenerate a new video every time, or if you want to change the hook or something like that.
Okay, okay, interesting. And how much are tokens with Higgsfield? Like what does that cost to get going to make a video?
I think I signed up for like $20 a month allowance, but now of course I've already recharged it like 2 or 3 times because I was like, okay, I really want a final version of this video that'll be good. So I probably put like $60 to $80 into like the 3 cool videos that I made.
That's amazing. I mean, even if they've had to re-up you, I'm assuming that
Yeah,
gets you a certain amount of tokens, and every video is a
yeah,
certain amount of tokens. Yeah, that I mean, 60-80 bucks to make a good AI video. I mean, you can't beat that.
yeah.
Videographer is going to charge you 800 bucks to come out for a content day, and then $1,500
Hmm.
for editing or whatever. Which I still think having real filmed content's great, but you can do a lot of that on your phones these days with how good camera phones have gotten. And then probably does Higgsfield edit, or is there any AI platform that edits actual footage for you? Like if I went and made a video, is there an AI that I could plug that into to edit that video for me?
I think there is. I don't have the answers to it right now, but I think
I'll
you
ask
can.
Claude and
Yeah,
ChatGPT.
just ask Claude. And that's what I do. But
Okay.
Valentina was telling me that she thinks you can tie in CapCut now to Claude, which is the video editor. So I'm sure if you can't do it already, that it's just right around the corner. Just being able to dump a bunch of B-roll and everything in there and say, make me, 10-second promotional ad clips for Meta.
Yep, I just asked Claude. We'll see what it spits out, but I know you can connect Canva to
Uh-huh.
ChatGPT and your Google Drives and things like that. So yeah, Claude's telling me CapCut, V.io, Opus Clip, Descript. So it's a few things to check out there, and it broke it down. I'm not going to bore everybody with the details. You can do this part yourself, but there's some good references there. I mean, that's one of the beauties of AI. If there's something you don't have an answer to, just ask AI. And one of these days, I'm in the process. I downloaded all the transcripts from the last several years of this podcast, but I'm planning to upload all of the transcripts into AI to try to make some kind of aggregated, you know, reference database for people that are fans of the show. But until I get that done, there is some still real life stuff that you can learn here. Well, Dane, this has been great. We're coming up on time, but I do want to ask. So we went over several things at the Moving Titan retreat. mastermind back in Arizona. That was just over 2 months ago now. We're coming up on what, probably the 60 or 70 day mark, or maybe the 60 day mark now. I think it was right around this time in June. And awesome event that you were a part of. And I know you had a lot of takeaways. Do you mind sharing some of the takeaways that you had from the event and what you've already been able to implement and how that's going for you?
Yeah. I mean, I had a whole list. I kind of did what I said before. I just brain dumped all of my stuff that I took away from the event when I was on the plane, and it kind of made a to-do list of stuff. A lot of it had to do with this. Our marketing was broken, especially like we weren't getting anything from Google, absolutely nothing from Meta. We weren't tracking lead attribution or using UTM stuff. I dove hardcore into all of that, and then that's been super awesome. Like I just told you, what we're getting from Meta and everything. So we rethought a bunch of that. We hired a salesperson since then, and I was able to use a lot of people I met there. Like Chad was super open with me about sharing his offer letters to salespeople and operations managers. But I was just thinking yesterday when I was on my run, actually, I was like, one of the coolest things that happened to me since the retreat was like my number one goal going into it was that I, I always know I can scale and that I'm gonna, I'm confident in my growth mindset and where I'm gonna build this thing, but like I haven't been able to see like the next steps or like what it is to get there. And now after seeing all you guys, people, way ahead of me, a little bit ahead of me, I kind of have a roadmap and I have so many good resources of friends and people now that I can see like now I can see it in my head, like I got sales help here and now, going into December, we're going to for sure finally get that operations manager hired that we've been meaning to for a long time, and then followed by, additional sales help here, before the spring, so we can next year get to this, and then like I can see it all, so it's just super exciting. Like the next steps, where before I knew where I wanted to get, but I couldn't see exactly the roadmap, I guess. But that's what's exciting for me now. I got real dialed in goals. We got awesome connections with other moving company owners there. I've done the call with you guys, but then I organized a little side call with like 4 or 5 guys that we can catch up with and bounce ideas. And yeah, I just love it. I love being connected with everyone in this industry, and your podcast and everything's been super helpful for me to sponge everything in and just continue to learn and see how far we can take it.
I love it. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's what it's all about, is building those connections. And there's always going to be that 4 or 5 guys that you resonate with, that you want to continue that conversation. It's where friendships or bonds are made. So I really do appreciate you guys coming out. And you guys are sending your other partner to the one in September, correct?
Yeah, I'm stoked for my partner Jeff to get down there and get a part of the Titan communities and bring his wife, and he's never even been to a conference before, so I'm excited to see him come back with excitement and for us to start kicking butt and taking names in September and be on fire. And then we're going to go, we already signed up for I think January to go down to the small group one in Texas, so that'll be
Nice.
awesome as well.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. And those smaller ones are great to really go deep into some of these things. I mean, the podcast, we only have an hour conversation. The big events, there's so many people there that you want to talk to. It's sometimes, you don't get to really drill in, but the mastermind groups, I mean, you spend 3 days with a group of like-minded people that are in the same shoes as you. So looking forward to seeing you guys down there in January, and then you're meeting Jeff here in September. For those of you guys who don't know, which I'm not sure how you wouldn't know by now, but September 2nd to the 4th, we're just a few weeks away from our big Moving Titan retreat at the Wyndham Grand in Clearwater Beach, and hoping to see as many new faces and familiar ones out there as possible. So, Dane, this has been a great podcast. Thank you for coming on board here. You guys are a power couple to the extreme. We didn't get to still talk about, working with your spouse, but we'll save that one for maybe we'll do like a spouse podcast with you and Valentina, and we can focus on that. I think there's a lot of people out there that would benefit from hearing that. So thanks for coming on the Grow Your Moving Company podcast. Thank you all for listening and tuning in. And don't forget, we are on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, basically wherever you get your podcasts. And it would mean the world if you could leave a review. I don't think I've ever really asked for podcast ratings and reviews, but But I hear other podcasters doing it, so I figure there's probably a reason. So I always appreciate those. But thanks again for coming on, everybody. And Dane, thank you for your time. And until next time, we'll see you in September, hopefully, so that we can all tighten up. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Grow Your Moving Company podcast. If you'd like to learn more about any of the sponsors listed on this show, want to apply for the next Moving Titan retreat, or interested in owning or working for Two College Brothers franchise, drop me a line at wade@twocollegebrothers.com. Moving out. Have a great day.